do you feel, or you ever felt that by becoming a gallerist yourself, you are somewhere compromising, or you were unhappy that you have taken the additional work of a gallerist, because that itself is quite a lot to handle?
In the very beginning stage, I realized that here maybe I have to compromise somewhere with my artistic practice in the very beginning, because then you have to have this organizational task, from beginning to making the list. In terms of Excel, I was so new to Excel, so
I can imagine.
The moment Excel opens in front of my eyes, it's like such a huge mathematic calculations, So I was a bit afraid, but slowly I realized, okay, there is an advantage. There are so many advantages actually, because being a gallerist, you have opportunities to as many places. There are possibilities, like you have to look for all new artists, new talent always. So then I started exploring fairs in India, outside India, visiting fresh talent with the annual displays here in Baroda, in wherever it's happening in India as well. So then of course I learned with the journey of having access of visual aesthetic in front of me. So there is now I see as a burden, and I don't see as a task. It's just natural. It become natural now.
Yeah, I think it has sort of become part of your own art practice, because in the process of exploring others' art, you must be actually adding value to your own art. So I know.
I agree. Yeah.
It's really wonderful. So, unfortunately, with this COVID crisis hitting the global economy, what kind of what thoughts do you have on the art scene when it comes to buying art?
So we actually don't buy work directly from the artist regularly. Of course, there are exceptions, but regularly we don't have inventory where we buy the work directly from the artist. But by and large, with the current situation with COVID, we see that we need to have a more collaborative approach within India and across the globe. Of course, we are also looking at cost cutting wherever it's possible. We don't know what would be the future after 2020 in terms of self perspective, commercial aspect of running a gallery. So we really don't know what will happen at the moment. But I'm very much sure that physical art world will remain there. Digital world, it's working very well for music or that form of art, and several other art forms as well. But so far, visual art, I think we need that feeling being in the gallery, to feel the physical space, the distance, the wall color, or the overall environment. So I think that cannot be replaced by the virtual world. So we are optimistic that the moment we will have the normal running practice, I think we will get over it.
And when I speak with the young generation, the ones who are at the start of their career, I feel a sense of scare more than most of us feel, because it's the early start. They just finished the college and they were all set to start a journey, and suddenly this turmoil. And the first thing which comes to a common man's mind is, oh, art is a luxury, and that comes last even once you have finished buying your cars, then you think of buying art. And in this scenario, when that kind of uncertainty is prevailing, and this young generation who were so much energetic and full of dreams are now suddenly at a crossroad. So what do you what your advice would be to them, because though I know that you haven't passed through this kind of turmoil, but I'm sure in your own journey you have seen a lot of challenges. So how do you think they can handle?
So for them, I would suggest that be visible. Forget about physical presence. Whatever platform you can find, you have to be visible. And it's not just the one time. You have to make constant effort. You have to create appetite. Things will not work in the first attempt. If it's working for you, it's fantastic. But if it may not work, you have to keep trying and keep trying and experimenting. Whatever platform you can find. I mean, social media is doing good in terms of having a free marketing, publicity, or whatever you can call for the artist. So you have to utilize that space because almost everyone, even from the biggest organization to the smallest gallery, are utilizing the platform social media at the moment. So I think, and also you have to be selective according to your work, where you should be focused. You know, not all galleries or not all art organization would match with your leaning or your ideas of art. So you have to find that where you are going to fit. You cannot approach everyone because that would be disastrous. I have experienced that.
Can imagine. So maybe it is good for even those young artists to actually follow the work of galleries and see where they connect and which kind of gallery actually connects with their work.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So actually yesterday we had this celebration of International Museum Day, and we had a speaker for the webinar from Croatia. Like you said, that constant effort, and she said that constant effort and be stubborn. So
yes,
to some extent, yes, but that's the same thing you are trying to say, that be persistent and keep visibility on that kind of effort should go on and follow, because not every gallery is for everybody. That's what is really lovely thought coming from you. And tell me, in this situation now, when we all are in our own ways worried and to some extent thinking how we what lies ahead, what role public can play to support art, other than, of course, I'm not talking here of fundraisers, because that is not a support I am really looking for.
In our society, public is apart from few pockets, is always been kept away. There is no interest apart from, as I said, few sectors. So at the moment, even with such a huge population in the world and such a huge higher middle class population who can buy almost anything, but still we are not getting them as an audience, as a spectator, as a visitor to the galleries. So, but that is not a overnight. It's a process, and we have to educate them from the very beginning. In our education system, we have to implement this. There are museums, they are trying their best, but it's not habitual that every weekend we go to the gallery or museum opening and have the evening. It's not usual for us.
That's true. That's true. Even I have seen it. Yeah, sorry, please continue.
Even sometime there is also other part of the story is that often the people, they think that, oh, this is not my place, maybe I'm not welcome there. They think, oh, it's a gallery, it's an art gallery, or it's a museum, maybe I'm not invited there. So that is also there. But unless we have a bridge where we all can communicate, I think in future we will have, of course I see the number are increasing, every year there are lots of visitor, and also there is a significant number of individuals who are possessing the artwork from the new artists, younger generation. So it's very good, but we need institutional changes.
Totally agree with you, Jignesh, because whenever I visit abroad, I see the very young mothers with kids in the pram. That means kid probably is only 5 or 6 months old maximum. They walk in the museum. There is special place to park their prams, and they take the children around. And I wonder what child must be absorbing. Is mother thinking about bringing them to the museum at this stage where we never thought. When my daughter was 5 months old, I never thought of taking her to a museum. So yeah, that kind of culture is something that supports itself, because probably that comes from education, because in the school itself it's part of their curriculum, and we see a lot of children coming right at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. in the museums, and with their teacher, with carrying their lunch boxes together, and they are spending hours together. So probably that is something that we as a Center for Creativity and Artists probably together need to go and talk to the educationists, the people who are making the policies, and to build in. So my questions will never finish, because I love talking to you personally also, but I'm just thinking of taking some question. So Titas, are you there with me? Or otherwise I will okay.
Yes,
now yeah, can we take a question? I can see a few questions now.
Yes, ma'am. There was a question first in the chat box from Pooja ji. So maybe we should start from that. So Pooja ji asked, can you please tell how did you start with selling your art? I think it's a very specific and experiential question for Jignesh, that how did you start selling the art? So what was the first step per se? Yeah.
Okay. So selling the art, I mean, it was not a pre-planned idea that I will sell my art. But I remember the first time when I sold my work. It was again accidental practice. So after, so I never completed my studies. I'm not a postgraduate or not even a graduate in the field of visual art. So after studies of fine art, I had no idea what is art. But then I realized that's the only thing. I have studied little bit. I know a little bit how to draw. So let's do it. So I started working on small scale of the work, making small objects, and somehow I got a message from a handicraft fair in Delhi just before Diwali, that we are having a mela in handicraft fair. It was kind of handicraft fair. So they asked me if you would like to be a participant and hire a booth. So it was my first experience. So I said, see, I don't have money to pay the rent for the booth. If I sell the work, I will pay you the rent, or I will give you my artwork. So he said, it's okay, no problem. So that was my first experience. I went to Delhi and I sold all work without knowing anything about art. So that was my experience. That time I learned that I can sell the artwork. And those visitors who came at the handicraft fair, I was in communication with them later on for several months and years. My visit to the Delhi became very frequent, and that's how I learned. I visited galleries, I visited openings. So that's how I learned what is art and what is working and what is not working. So that you have to try yourself, Pooja, where you are going to pose yourself with your artwork. But you have to keep trying.
I think there are a couple of questions which is in this zone only, but from different perspectives. So let's go with those, and then there are more interesting questions coming up for you.
Very good.
Yeah. So the question is, how can a self-taught artist who's not essentially from a art training or a institutional training background can develop a career in art from the scratch? And I think I would like to link another question which is asked by Aditi ji, that how to start earning a full-time living being an artist. I think they are somewhat connected or like go in a journey together. So
yes, Titas, you are right. So I would consider self-taught artists, it's having a big advantage because they don't have a burden of the syllabus. They are not seasoned in the course of college, because art, it's not inside the fine art school or college or university. It's a constant, it's coming together with us. Even we are not thinking about art, we are living often. So I would consider that if you are coming from a background where you are self-taught artist, please consider yourself that you have an extra tool. I would say don't be embarrassed. Art doesn't have to make sense also.
That's lovely. I'm sure many people will be happy about it.
And the second question, how to get the full-time career? So in the beginning, maybe it will not work. So because you have to support yourself. So start with part-time, and then once you realize, you raise confidence, then you can move on to the full-time practice. Here again, you have to position yourself. There are infinite number of boxes. In which box you want to fit, that you have to decide. Or maybe you can fit in so many boxes. Also, it's your choice.
And in fact, I would like to add here, Aditi, for you, that it is also possible that there are so many galleries, institutes like ours, Kolkata Center for Creativity, who also look for artists for their programs. So there also an artist can play a role in the early start of their career, when you really don't need to spend all your time into art, because you have to think of your earning also. So when you work with a gallery or with a cultural center, you stay within the limits of the art. So you really don't have to sell something because you want to make a living out of it. You're still in the periphery of art. So that's also a very good thing. And more we see a lot of programs, like even cultural organizations like British Council, Alliance France, Goethe Institute, they also look for even embassies, Australian Embassy, and all sorts of embassy. They have their cultural center also separately. You can even look there also. You can get started getting connected over there also. There are many possibilities for artists nowadays, not limiting to only selling art. So don't limit yourself.
I think number of institutes you just have mentioned, I think if you just practice only 3 sectors, you would be very busy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think she has an extension of the question, which is wants to know about a few renowned platforms where online sale of paintings are possible.
So there are several ones. I mean, you just Google it, there are several ones. So, but basically, there are two big, or there are a difference. One platform is for the galleries, like Artsy, yeah, and then rest of them are platform for the artists. So I think Artsy is for the specifically designed for the galleries. So then you have to go via gallery if you want to work with Artsy. Otherwise, there are several platforms on the web where you can put up your artwork.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions that has come so far. Listen very closely. Have there been instances where Jignesh the gallerist has taken over Jignesh the artist while talking about an artwork, and vice versa, where negotiation is happening because of a sale? How do you deal with such instances?
Yes, I would accept that. Honestly, yes, it happens. It happens vice versa. So whatever is important at the moment, with that particular moment, you have to answer accordingly. Being a gallerist, if you are selling from the gallery. In the gallery, you have to in the role of a gallerist, and being an artist, when you are dealing, because I'm not only working with the Zoka also, I work with several other galleries as well. So then I have to play role of an individual artist. But of course, they are overlapping and underlapping almost every day.
I think it's a very interesting question, and it always comes in this particular discussion, because this balance is so fine between an artist and an art manager or an entrepreneur or a gallerist. Because every time an artist is coming into this platform, everybody asks, because it's definitely a very crucial choice.
I would like to put one sentence from a dear friend who shared with me that relationship between artist and a gallery is like a marriage.
So people will have their own opinions about it.
Yes.
So that we have to weave the relation between gallery and the artist very carefully.
Okay. So I will take a question from the chat where Monami Agarwal is asking the question. I'm reading it to you.
Yes.
She's saying that she's a hobbyist, self-taught artist, but also an architect. She's trying to go forward this as a profession by blending both. She's featuring her artwork in social media. Her genre is mostly watercolors.
Okay.
And she's asking for some tips and ideas how to go forward with this and how she can blend these two things in to make a profession altogether.
I would advise, tell your story. Tell your story from bottom of your heart. Develop range of practices. Redefine your skill. Embedded thought in material. Know what you hate. Not hate, but know what you don't like. And see as much as you can.
Yes, that's a brilliant answer. Thank you, Dignesh. I think the next question is from Tanya Kaur. And then Aditi ji has another question. Not a question, but I think these questions blend together. Tanya is asking, how did you seek the opportunities and how did you build confidence while collaborating with the galleries? And I think somewhat what Aditi ji is asking again, that how does this galleries or the exhibition that is taking place, one artist or one artist entrepreneur who's taking the first steps would be knowing about. So how to connect with them and how to build their trust and how to gain confidence in this whole endeavor when somebody is starting.
So every gallery or every institute who are working with the art, by and large, they will have their own character, they will have their own taste. So again, as I said earlier, you have to figure out where you are fitting in that world. And to look for the right place for you, you have to try. So I would say make a list of gallery. Maybe you see 100 websites of the individual galleries. Make a list of 10 galleries where you think that, okay, my work would be interesting for these galleries or the curators. And to become a success, not successful, but to become an active practitioner of art, you don't need so many things. I always learned that you need a critic for your work, maybe a too good critic for your work. You need a or two gallery or a dealer, art dealer, 3 to 4 collector. That's it. If you have these things, then you are on your way. You don't need more people. Maybe maximum 8 to 9. If you can find this and maybe I would like to add a curator, one or two curator, who can position you when he or she designed the exhibition. So now you have to figure it out how you will connect with all these 4 different categories. You need communication, a constant communication, but not like a marketing calls. Okay, you need a communication where it's a fruitful. Like if you need a representation from a particular gallery, so if you are just sending an email, it's not going to work, because they are receiving hundreds of mail every day and they don't have a time. So best practice would be ask for an appointment. Ask for an appointment via phone call. If they allow you, then bring your physical portfolio or photograph, whatever you have. And then that's how you build up connection. Then you can tell your own story. Maybe they will reject you, but at least there is a point of connection, a bridge is there. So you have to make as much bridges as you can.
Right. And I will add here for you that also, if you want the gallery to invest in you, you also have to invest in gallery. It's vice versa. So when they are arranging programs, when they're doing exhibitions, go visit, see how they are doing it, connect with employees over there, the team over there, and that's how you will build the bridges. Because if you are looking for galleries, the galleries are also looking for artists. Galleries are also looking for support in the young artists and emerging artists as well. So it's
that was my next point. I wanted to add that galleries are desperately looking for new artists. It's not that they don't like you or they hate you. They need the artists with the new fresh flavor.
That's why you said it's a marriage, both ways. Lovely. Yeah. I'll just point out, Titas, for you. Now we have just 3 minutes. So I think best would be you take one last question. Yes. And whatever questions are left to be answered, Jignesh, I would request you that we will send it to you and you respond to them over email, and then we'll pass on to the person.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. Right. So this last question.
So I think that last question that has just come is intriguing. So I would place that question, and there's another question. There are 3 questions from Priyanka, and I will take those for offline for now. The question is, you are an artist and gallerist. Would you like to add curator to your repertoire as well? Would you make you will make an excellent curator. So what do you think of you being a curator?
I think it's a different practice. Being a gallerist is a very different role, and I think being a curator, it's a different division within the gallery. So I don't see myself as a curator.
Okay, so I think we are.
Can we take another question?
You want to take? Okay, one last, not more than that.
Yes. This is also a trick question, I think, for him. So it's when you get like an order from 2 sources for same artwork, so what would you do then?
Usually I don't get order. I have one work, and if there are 2 parties who are interested, whoever who is going to pay first, he or she will get the work.
Yeah, and actually I would advise that never create 2 works which are absolutely same. So you can create work on the similar lines, but not the same. This is not the right practice for anybody, because as a buyer, I will also feel cheated that the art that I have in my collection, somebody else also has that. So it's like, it's not a good practice.
Exactly. You can do with the print medium, you can do with the etchings, photographs, but when it comes to, because art is valuable in terms of monetary value, because of the exclusivity, so that you always have to keep in mind.
Great. So we come to the end of this conversation. Jignesh, we really enjoyed. I wish this evening did not actually finish, but every good thing comes to an end, unfortunately. But good to connect with you. and listen to so many things that we did not get the time to, chat when we were together in KCC. Thank you, everybody who joined us today evening, and please leave your suggestions or your comments in the chat box before you leave. That will help us in improving the program, or at least we will know you liked it or you did not like it. And if you have anything in your mind, please connect with us. Our email ID is kcc at the rate, I will request one of my colleagues to write it also in the chat box, kcc at the rate akst.org.in. Do write to us, and the questions which are unanswered, we will get back to you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Jignesh. Thanks, Vikas.
Take